G'day everybody and welcome to another Down in the Centre podcast about migrating to Australia. I'm joined by Ben Thompson and Ben, welcome buddy.
Thanks Wes, nice to speak to you.
So for those who don't know, Ben's a bit of a Tyson Fury lookalike. I think the first time I saw you mates in an expo, you came to one of the expos, was it in Birmingham?
I think it was Liverpool.
Yeah, and you came in with a big concerned look on your face, mate, with your partner, and I think you kind of wanted answers. By memory, you already had a different migration agent at that time or something. Was that right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we'd already signed up with another company, but as we walked around the expo, we bumped into you and Jenny, and we just kind of hit it off from there. So we cancelled the other company and started the progress with you.
Yeah, that's good. So, Ben, let's get a bit about yourself first, mate. So, you're a plumber by trade. Whereabouts are you from? Who's in your family? All that sort of stuff, mate.
I'm from a little town called Halifax in Yorkshire. There's me, my wife. When we came over, there was 4 of us. When we actually met, my wife was pregnant with my little boy. Since arriving here in 2020. We've had another little girl. There's quite a gang of us now.
It's, congratulations, mate. I have a little girl too. We were talking about that because even though we don't look it, but we're both in our 40s. So it's I guess it's sort of hard being a dad again in your 40s, but I guess it's fun because you've got a bit of experience. But it's probably also difficult running a business, which we'll talk about in more detail because in the UK, how long did you have your business for, mate?
Yeah, so I had my own business there for probably about 12 years. Started off small, like you do. Grew up to, I think at one point I had nearly 20 staff. We were quite a big pushing company. Yeah, doing quite well.
So how does it talk? So you and your wife decide that you come to the show. Before you came to the show, you're already engaged, chatting with another agent, etc., mate. Whose idea was it to migrate to Australia?
Fran, that's my wife. We always I think we wanted to go somewhere hot. So we'd got to a point in our lives, like I think a lot of us do, where we, I was just turning 40 at the time, and I was like, is this it? Is this life? Are we doing anything else? So we started to decide what we wanted to do, where we wanted to go. We were looking at either Australia or France because of I think the project is called Escape to the Chateau, and that had just come out. So we were like, we could go buy a castle. But I think the language barrier was a bit of an issue, so we started to look at the Australia route. And you sold us the brochure, mate. So that was that.
How'd the kids go with it all? Like, the transition and everything from when you told them to where they are now. Are they loving Australia? Are they missing the UK?
Yeah, good now. I mean, we've been here just short of 4 years. My eldest, she's 18. So as a 14-year-old, that was probably the hard one to overcome. She's also my stepdaughter, so we had to get the clearance from her dad to get here, which I can see a lot of your clients have issues and concerns about. So we did that.
Was it hard to go through that process with your stepdaughter's father?
No, I mean, I think anybody wants, if you look at your heart, you could say, well, you don't want them to leave, but at the same time, it's that better opportunity, So fair play to him. He signed it over on the proviso. We had to come back a little bit, but then a little thing turned up called COVID and stopped a few flights. So now she's 18. It's all on her own, so she can decide what she wants to do herself. Yeah,
that would have definitely been tough. Being 14, having lots of mates and all that, and then moving to Australia. What's she doing now with her life, mate?
I think she calls it a gap year, which is not much. But she's working at Kmart, and doing bits like that. She's pretty relaxed, pretty chilled. She's enjoying the lifestyle here. They do have I think they have the opportunity to be younger longer. So it's not where in England you're kind of like right, you've finished school, what do we do? They can have a little bit more leeway here before they start up. So we're just allowing it to find herself, really.
Where is here, mate? Whereabouts are you in Australia?
So we're on the Gold Coast.
Okay. All right. So your family have been settled and everything like that. You had a pretty decent sized business back in Halifax. Let's talk about it's your story is interesting. So when you first arrived, what sort of work were you doing, mate? Because you've been here for 4 years. So what did you do when you first got here?
Yeah, so originally I was quite lucky because I had a friend that I originally did my apprenticeship with British Gas. There was a lad who I did my apprenticeship with. He had his own business here. So that was the idea. He'd seen my business grow and was the opportunity to really put his heads together and move his business forward. So that was the idea. So thankfully I had that, which helped me with the licenses and where you had to tick all the boxes. Again, because of COVID, that didn't overly work out, so I had to look at a different route. We're doing some steam work, which were good to go around and see new things, travel the country, but it was long hours and hard work.
Yeah, especially with a young family, I guess too.
Yeah.
So, okay, so let's talk about the licensing side because I guess you got sort of stuck in a bit of a nightmare situation where you're probably advised to do the gas first and then go back and do the plumbing. Where if you had done the plumbing first, that would have covered lots of the units of competency required for the gas qualification for the QBCC. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think the problem is when you arrive, you're kind of scratching your head. Not a lot of people really know what you're supposed to do, where you go, so you start your own journey looking. TAFE was obviously that's like the college here. They weren't overly helpful. There were no real responses on that, so I ended up doing a private gas course, which I think you'll like to say we've chatted about this before and. You've finally figured out the best way, which is great. But yeah, I did a gas course, but at the side of that, I'm doing a plumbing course, and it's cost a lot of money.
Yeah, it's just for the listeners out there that are licensed trades. You've got to do the gap training and everything like that. So it's taken it's one of those things, Ben. That if the regulator hasn't changed. So since you've been here, you've had COVID. Regulator changes in the QB with the Queensland regulator, as well as a new plumbing and electrical qualification being sorted out. So most people in their lifetime wouldn't have any of those issues, and you've probably been able to tackle all three of them. But there's a massive upside, which I guess I'm really intrigued about as well. So you've now got a business set up. Do you want to talk to us about your business that you've set up in Australia and who you work with and how it works, please, mate?
Yeah, sure. Again, a bit of a funny story. One of the lads that did some contracting with me back in Halifax, he's called James. He's an electrician by trade, so we'd worked on and off together on various things back home. When I said I were coming out here, he kind of followed the lead and went through you guys as well. So he was 2 weeks behind me all the way. It was bizarre from us deciding to go with it to both getting us visas ticked, everything, even arriving here 2 weeks behind. So we've had a very similar journey of him doing his 12 months training and getting his licenses while I was on the back of that getting my licenses. We'd got to a point probably 2 years in where we both decided enough was enough working for people. So at that point we created No Hassle Solutions. By doing that, we brought together the different trades, so the gas, the plumbing, the electric. We've upskilled to do aircon as well while we've been here. And it works well because the licenses are quite hard to get. We've been able to add something that a lot of people can't do. We've also used lads from the Down Under Centre. We've got five of us in all. 2 of them lads come direct from the Down Under Centre, which has been great for us really because we kind of always go with the best of British, and you can't really beat the skills of the British lads and lasses, shall we say.
Well, I'll debate that, mate, being a plumber myself. But anyway, we'll save that for another day. So it's quite challenging for you to set up in Queensland. So the first thing you've got to do is am I correct in saying you've got to do an online course to be able to set up a business in Australia? Sorry, in Queensland?
Yeah, that's right. You have to do like a business course. In a sense, we spend all this time, I think like everybody says, oh yeah, well, we don't have to do that in England or we don't do that in the UK. But in reality, I always used to say back home that I was a heating engineer, not a businessman, even though I had loads of staff and ran business and did this and that. But in reality, it does help. You should know how to run certain aspects of a business. So it's not a bad idea for them to do that. So to be fair, on the Queensland lot, I'd approve on that one.
And how long did that course take, mate?
Mine were next to nothing. I just had this old fella come round and have a cup of tea, and we just chatted for a bit, and that was it for me. I just had to answer a few questions, but I think James's were a bit more in depth. Maybe I just had the easy route.
Yeah, it's interesting though. So to set the business up and to be approved, you've been interviewed by someone to, and this was and this is under the same business, No Hassle Solutions. So he met both of you guys separately because you guys are both directors, I assume.
Yeah, it would just separately. Ultimately, you just had to have the other qualification. It was just qualification based. You do literally have to have some sort of qualification or license for everything here. It's that's why the multi-trade thing is a little bit more unique, because it's just too hard to get them all and too expensive for all the licenses to be added together and not really used. So that's what we think with it.
Well, you probably chose the three. You did. You chose the three licensed trades, and it's good for plumbers and electricians to be able to upskill to the air conditioning side. So when we talk about that, that's just your split system license. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's it, mate. Yeah, the split system.
And work-wise, are you as busy? Was it easy to get established and start getting clients, mate?
Yeah, we've done really well, to be fair, to be able to keep 5 lads all busy. It's quite a big ask to come from absolutely nowhere. I think that's the big thing from back home. When you start a business, people. You've got your first month's worth of work from friends and family. Where here it was a full standing start. The levels of service here, I think when we arrived, weren't fantastic. They definitely improved even in the 2 years where we've been running our business. But I think they were quite surprised if you turned up, never mind doing the job. So it was pretty easy to get quite a good reputation pretty quick.
And are you saying that the clients were surprised that tradies were rocking up on time?
Tradies were turning up at all. I think the old adage of it'll be right, a little bit laid back, which is what we all want as the dream. But unfortunately, we're I suppose that's why Australia wants migrants to improve the country as well.
Yeah, it's so good, mate. I'm so happy for you. And so on the Goldie, what would if you were to pay a plumber, sparky, or gas engineer, what would a package look like working?
Oh, for us, it'd be about $8.99 an hour. We'd probably, I think it varies up to average about $38 to $40 an hour, something like that.
And you guys, car, phone, tools, do you guys supply that, or are they subcontractors that come in with all their own stuff?
Yeah, so we employ the lads. The idea was it really to. We found that what was strange was the different ways of employment here. So the casual employment, which again is something that will take people quite by surprise. I suppose you could put it as a 0 hours contract back in England. We say to the lads, that the big sales pitch for the lads for us is we've all come here for a better life. We've not come here just to work and drop, and we were finding that that's what we were doing when we were being employed. They just expected you, they were pretty intense employers, sorry. So we tried to make it that the lads were, everybody's a team, everybody works together. If you need a bit of time off, take a bit of time off, just where you want to be. Like I say, we've come here for a reason, for a better life, not just to bust our asses every day.
Yeah, fair play, mate. And so let's talk about it, the little ones and the wides and all that, mate. What are they? Yep. What do they get up to in the Goldie?
So I've got 5 kids. We come with 3 daughters and one little boy. He was one when we came. The girls at that point were like 8, 12 and 14. Since we've been here, we've had another little girl, little Flora. She was born 3 months premature. The hospital staff were absolutely fantastic. I know we look at the NHS in England and it was very similar to that, but probably twice as good. It was just the facilities, the care. It was amazing. Flora's absolutely great now. She's just turned 1. And you wouldn't know she was so early. So yeah, it's good. They all enjoy life. We've got a swimming pool and things like that, and yeah, everybody seems to enjoy what they're doing. Kids are kids, obviously, and probably watch more YouTube than they should do, but that's life, isn't it?
No, well, if we keep creating awesome podcasts, mate, you can't really block.
Yeah, this is new to me, mate. This is a first for me.
Oh, mate, I'm the same. When Lisa was like, "Oh, we've got to do podcasts," I was like, "All right, what do we do? How do we listen to them? Where do we go?" Anyway, we're just giving it a crack, I guess, because I reckon so many people have stories to tell, and you're one of them, Ben. Like, just rocking up at an expo, 4 years later. Now you've got a business which is, I guess, would you say it's established now? Like you've gone over that mark where you know that income's coming in and there's enough work all the time?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I'd like to think so because we've just bought another couple of vans, so we're in trouble if it doesn't. But yeah, it's good. Everything's moving forward. There's always talk of recessions in the future. That a lot of things have gone up in price remarkably. But I know it's the same in England. I went back 2 weeks ago for the first time and saw the differences back home in after COVID. That mirrors here just the same. So it's just stuff to be aware of, I suppose. But the people are always asking for trades still. That's never going to go away.
Yeah. There's lots of trades, I guess. So what the difference in work, mate, as a plumber or gas fitter, air conditioning, and all that? What's the difference between the UK and Australia? A bit of terminology, or everything sort of similar?
It's a little bit of I won't say a backward step on gas fitting and plumbing. Life's a bit easier because everything's fitted outside. So because of the weather, they don't have to think of things freezing and things like that. But so it makes my life a lot easier. But the drainage side and stuff, that's actually better, I think, here than back home. So yeah, it's good. They're a little bit behind on the climate change. Certainly in Queensland, I know where you're at, Wes, is probably a bit different, but up here they just have all cylinders with just immersion heaters in. So there's new rebates and things for heat pumps and things like that. So we're really jumping onto the energy efficiency market here, where they just push major on solar, but we're trying to tag on to that with the other things, which again we did back home. But it's having to teach people how to combine things to save them money, which I think for the first time here it's kicked in because fuel and electricity and gas was so cheap here. They didn't really have to worry about the cost of living, but now it's going up, so things are changing. Yeah,
and let's talk about the fittings and all that sort of stuff, mate. Like the plumbing fittings. I know when I was in the UK when I first got there, plumbing, they bloody showed me the brochure, Ben, and I had to point it out, mate, because I'm saying the Mayline Union, all lugged elbow and all this sort of stuff. Yeah. How do you find the terminology?
Yeah, very hard, very hard. When I went into the suppliers, I quickly told them I was English and didn't know what anything was. So would they mind if I walked around the back with them and pointed what I needed? And thankfully they did, because otherwise I probably wouldn't have started up. But yeah, there's all sorts, just different things, little silly things, they call something like a splashback, a backsplash, and just odd things. I'd call it a hob, they'd call it a cooktop. It's you soon have to change your ways of thinking. So don't come here being stubborn because it won't last.
Yeah, I know. I always say to the guys when I'm delivering the plumbing practical assessments for immigration, I'm always like, "Oh, we're going to do a roughing," and then I'm like,
"Yeah,
first fix. We'll do a first fix," and it sounds funny. And then I'm chatting to Then I chat to a few mates because like lots of my mates are still tradies and all that sort of stuff. And
Yeah.
I'll reverse it, Ben, for just some silly reason. I'll be like, "Oh, mate, have you done your first fix?" And they're like, "What's a first fix?" Sorry, a roughing, or the cash point. I always say, "Oh, we're going to go to the cash point," even though over here we call it an ATM.
Yeah. If they are any, so could never find one.
And
I think.
mate, what about sport and everything like that? Have you adapted into the Aussie rules footy, or you sort of were you into sport in the UK?
Yeah, not so much into the Aussie rules as of yet. I watch more rugby league, but I think as you know, Aussie rules is called footy. Rugby league is called footy. Soccer's not called footy. It's quite a hard one to go with who you support when you're talking to people.
Yeah, it's so true, isn't it? It's really state like Vic, where I'm coming in from, South Australia, WA, Northern Territory. We're all footy. Oh, that didn't help. We're all AFL footy, and then Queensland, New South Wales, Canberra, footy. They're rugby. And then you got rugby union,
Rugby league.
You got rugby league.
Yeah, you're going to say you've got your rugby league and your rugby union and everything. So I think I just say I like rugby league now. There's so many people now. I mean, the Gold Coast in particular is so diverse. Like you said, the footy, it might be a guy from Melbourne or whatever. So yeah, I keep it simple. I don't try to blend in that much. My Yorkshire tone's not fully left me.
No, you've still got that, mate. I hope you don't lose it either. It's good. It's good to pretend I understand what you're saying. To be honest, mate.
Mate, you soon have to change your accent. I noticed. I met this lad when I first came over that I used to play rugby with many years ago, and he was from Doncaster, which is kind of the deepest Yorkshire accent you could probably get. And I met him in this pub, and he was just talking so posh, and I was like, What are you doing? Why are you speaking like that? And then I've kind of phrased it as it's called, I'm Hugh Granting. So I speak posher, I speak better, my words are all longer, just so people can understand me, because they just stare. I'd be talking and they would just stare at me as if I was an alien. So yeah, you have to adapt.
Yeah, I like that. You're like the posh plumber, mate, these days. Coming out with the accent. Is Doncaster? I think I went to Doncaster once. Do they actually have like a factory there where they make all the toilets and all that?
I'm not sure, mate. I'm not sure what Doncaster's famous for. To be fair,
I went there and they had a big we went there to, I don't know, some plumbing thing I was doing at the time, and it was really interesting because they showed us around of how they're actually making all the cisterns and everything like that. I remember it being Doncaster because in Melbourne there's a place called Doncaster, which is kind of where I grew up. It was just interesting to be in Doncaster. But all right, mate.
It's weird, isn't it? That.
Yeah, it's just when you find a name that's similar, and you've been in both countries for half your life each, I guess it brings back some good memories. But mate, Gold Coast, is it all about bright lights and blokes with their tops off, tanning up all over the place, sunbathing all over? Is that what it's like, or what's it really like in your mind?
I think it's. I think what my wife calls it something. I can't remember what she calls it. It's something like, oh, it's so Gold Coast, and you can see that people have got all the teeth whitened and they're and the tops off and things. But I'm a little bit old for that, so I tend just to sit in my back garden and drink a few Jim Beams now. But it is. But I think it's when we first arrived again. COVID's caused a lot of things, and a lot of people have moved up here. So the Gold Coast has moved from a seaside city to, a productive city now, I think. So I can see the growth here being massive, really. Certainly with Brisbane having the Olympics, everybody kind of pushes towards that. But I think the Gold Coast is miles better than Brisbane. So sorry to all you Brisbaneites out there. There is everything here. And I have to admit, I hated the place when I first arrived. It did take me some time to settle in. If it weren't for COVID, I'd have probably been back on the first flight within 12 months. So So yeah, it's a lovely place, a beautiful place.
Let's talk about the challenges in the first 12 months that were going to send you back on a plane.
Yeah, I think the majority of it was down to the skills, the licensing. Just being lost with that, there was one point where I was in. I always tell the story to somebody that I was in the when I worked in the factory at the steam place, and I was sweeping the floor in this factory that was like something out of the 60s, and I just thought, what have I done? I'm getting up at 4 a.m. I'm driving an hour to get here to start at 6, and I'm sweeping a floor. What have I done? But things change, I think that's a realization is when you do come here, and this is a biggie. Everybody that comes here is successful. This is why you are here. You've done well in life. So just be aware that you might have to take a step back before you take them 2-3 steps forward. Because now life is fantastic. If I look back when what we have to what we had is amazing, really, So it was definitely the right move, and I'd have made a mistake to go back.
Good on you, mate. That was really well explained. I think I totally agree with you from doing these podcasts and having this business for over 10 years is you speak about the emotional side so much, and it takes, I'm actually going to steal what you're saying there, Ben. You've got to go back to step forward. It's so true, because the time it takes you to adjust, and there's lots of people that do go back, and, it's their choices, no right or wrong. But, if you can give it as long as you can, if you can do that and push through it, the benefits are there, because you do end up sort of maybe, if it's not financially successful, it just might be that like sense of sort of fulfillment that you start feeling better because of the weather, and you start getting used to the Australian way of life a little bit more. And it is so different, because you got to remember Australia is so big. So coming from Melbourne, I made a comment before about the Gold Coast being all, tops off down the beach and sunbaking.
Yeah.
Now, I'm a ginger from Victoria. That doesn't, that's my biggest fear, to be honest, Ben. So, it's very different. But then you go and surfing, and you're going all the way in WA, and it's so different. There's so many places to see. And I'm so happy that it worked out for you in the Goldie. Would you consider it? Did you ever consider another area of Australia, or was it just Gold Coast and then just go home?
Yeah, I think it. If I'd have had my choice originally, we was going to look at Perth. I think just because of the kind of, I suppose, the English connection to Perth. I think everybody seems to be English there, or British, shall we say. So I was going to look there, but just because I had the theoretical job offer, that's what made me go to the Gold Coast. But when I did do the steam work, I travelled up north quite a little bit and out west, and it was beautiful. The people were nicer. It was just nice. If you could go there, I suppose, and work from home, it'd be amazing. Just because it was like what you'd imagine the old style way of life would be. Again, Gold Coast is a city, so city living is different to my little town of Halifax. So where you go from somewhere where everybody in a pub, you'll go and nobody. So yeah, I think wherever you go, you've just got to be prepared to be tight-knit as a family and stick together, because you are all you've got. So that's a big thing.
Yeah, mate. We're showing how smart plumbers are, I reckon, in this podcast, mate. You're wording everything really well. It's so spot on. You've got to just work together with your family and who you're coming over with, and that's great. Now, any advice, any tips you'd ever give to someone looking to make the move or who's about to land?
To be fair, with the work side, I think you guys have kind of cracked it with that. To listen to what you've said, the big differences are that there's different states, different rules, different things. So not everything's as you would imagine. You can't prep for everything, but just be aware. Bring as much money as you can. You'll burn through it very quickly when you first arrive. You use you guys for the stuff where if you need work or whatever. I think that's a good option. Feeling that if they're going to the Gold Coast, they can always hit me up, but I don't want to say that on recording.
That's good, Ben. All right, well, Mate, thank you. Well, firstly, congratulations for everything you've done, mate. It sounds awesome. I think the most challenging part is having four daughters. My daughter's only 10 months old, mate. She's actually 10 months old today. There you go. But
congratulations on that one, mate. Yeah, well done.
yeah, she's a gem, mate. I love my little Jazzy. She's a regular on our monthly webinars. I think for the people that watched our webinars, she's been in every webinar since she's been born, actually. Because I do the morning, I do the morning shift still. From 5:30 till 7:30, whatever. But mate, thank you and well done and all that, and wish you all the best. And guys, if you are in the Gold Coast how far does your work travel, mate? How far will you go to? If our listeners wanted to get you guys in
Gold Coast, Brisbane, inland a bit. You have to travel a bit here, mate. That's part of the game, isn't it? So. Northern New South Wales, we're all over.
Yeah, perfect. Well, guys, if get a hold of No Hassle Solutions if you're needing any sort of electrical, plumbing, or refrigeration work. It's always good to support previous migrants so they can grow and all that. It's probably nice to meet to meet a few people from England as well. Does it happen, Ben? Are you working for many people from the UK and they spot your accent or anything like that?
Yeah, it's quite bizarre, really, because you when you work with them, there was one the other day that I walked in the door and he spoke to me and he couldn't have been any more Australian. It was a full-on g'day as I walked in. We went through a few things and then all of a sudden he started talking Liverpudlian and well, like, that's unbelievable. And they were like, oh, yeah, I'm from Liverpool, but I've been here so-and-so. And some people adapt. Fran, my wife, she's adapting. I'm like, who are you? When she talks to me sometimes, but and some people don't. That'd be like me.
It cracked me up, mate. I was in the UK for so long, about 13 years, which is a long time. Yeah. And I even the week before I left, I'd walk into a shop and someone would say, oh, where are you from? And I'd forget I'm Australian. I'd be like, oh, just down the road. What's it to you? That's how it was sort of in London. But then you'd have some of the Aussies, mate. They'll be there for 6 weeks in London. They've already got a British accent. You got to watch out for a few people. But here, I reckon it's always good if you can keep your identity and your accent. It's nice because you'll even notice the Queenslanders talk a lot different to the Victorians, and the people in Perth speak a bit different to us in Victoria.
I think if we kind of say that people from Melbourne, they always kind of finish up on the end of the sentence like that. So it's that's what I always think. Oh, are you from Melbourne?
Yeah.
so they are different.
Well, on that note, guys, we will call this podcast over. Is that what you mean? Is it like over? Is that what you're getting at? Or am I doing that example? I think you
can tell you've been in England too long, mate.
Yeah. I think I stick to plumbing and migration, not voiceovers. But mate, thanks again for making your time. It's Thursday in the afternoon, and I think the listeners are really going to benefit from this conversation. So again, mate, thank you very much. And guys, that's Ben from No Hassle Solutions.
Thanks, mate, and thanks for all the help getting us here as well with you and Jenny and everybody. It was great.
Yeah, not a problem. Very welcome. All right, guys, join us on the next one. Take care, everyone.